We'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight to hear Rich talk about selling in the now and the 180 rule. We're really pleased to have him. I'm not sure how you all heard of the enterprise sales meetup. I'm sure through marketing and networking efforts, but basically our goal is to bring some powerful sales content to our users so that they can learn something and bring it back into their business world right away, use it, get excited about the profession of sales that they're in. So we try to get guest speakers that are really, doing innovative things in the market, and we came across Rich through, I'm not really sure, I'm starting to think it was through Brent, but somehow we found that
she's like Kevin Bacon, everything's through Brent.
6 degrees of separation, and actually he's a paisan of mine. We have cannolis and some espresso when we leave. So, but basically that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to be talking about Rich's book, Selling in the Now, and the concept of brand Selling in the Now and the 180 rule. And Mark Birch is the founder of the Enterprise Sales Meetup, and he has started in New York. He's a VC with a lot of passion for sales, and he recognized an inefficiency in the market to help us get developed. So he's created these groups. He now has 8 chapters across the United States and a couple in Europe, I think.
Well, there's London.
You got London?
There's London.
You sure?
Yeah. No, there's 8 cities right now. So we have New York, Boston, Philadelphia, DC, Chicago, Denver, San Francisco, London. Next week we launch Atlanta, and then in September we'll have Seattle, San Diego, and Singapore. So we'll be truly a global organization.
We're rocking and rolling, and we have about 8,000 users. Now our goal here, the takeaway for you folks, is that I'm very competitive, and since I'm the Philly chapter organizer, I'm trying to beat New York's attendance. So we want you to get the word out there so we can get up to 500 really quickly and have at least 60 to 100 people on our next couple meetups.
I'd like that too.
Yes.
Just be aware, there's certainly a gap here. We need to get to 100.
We need to get to 100, but if I go to 500 and get to 100, then
okay.
I reach for 500 and I get 100, I'm all set. So I guess maybe we should start off offering food and alcohol. Maybe that'll draw them in.
Well, we've got some beers. Does everyone have beers?
There's beer over there, by the way, so if you want to grab a beer. So is there anything else you'd like to kick off with?
No, let's get started.
Okay, great.
Maybe we just have Rich introduce himself and what he's doing in sales
and one thing, serious thing.
One serious thing.
That nobody knows about you and would be surprised to learn.
Okay. Hello, thanks for coming. What we're going to do here is talk a little bit about the concept. Before I do that, let me tell you one thing that very few people know. I was hired once for a speaking engagement. Senators and congressmen bring their aides in and administrative people in once a year to Washington, D.C. to go through a program. And I was hired to do a communication session at the Hart Building, which was the Senate building. And at the last minute, they said there was a Senate was in session, and they had to put us on the underground. We know about this. There's a whole underground network of subways, strictly private, take you from building to building. And did you? Okay. And they put us in the subways. They took us over to the Capitol building in the basement, where I proceeded to start talking about communications to all of the senators and congressmen. It's a pretty full group. About 10 minutes into my presentation, 2 guards ran in screaming, "Get out, get out. There's a plane headed for the Capitol building." It was 9/11.
Oh my God.
We made our way through the hallway, down into the tunnel, and when we came up to the ground, we saw the smoke coming from the Pentagon from one of the planes that hit. And for those of you who don't know, there was a plane that was headed for the Capitol building that was down in Pennsylvania. So there would only be 2 people here tonight if they would have had their wish. So that's something no one knows about me. Now you do. Brent, you never know about me?
I did not.
Yes, I was involved in that. Okay.
All right, so
let's get to business now.
Let's get to business.
Serious stuff.
So give us a 1 minute or 2 minute, overview of how you got into sales.
Yeah, I had graduated from college, and my brother said, look, you need a job. I said, I don't know what I want to do. And he says, come to me. He was a manufacturer here at a company called Philco, later put out by Ford. And he said, come to me. He said, you know, you got to get into computers, computer programming, because computers are really going to be big. And I said, okay, yeah, that sounds good. I'll get into computers. So I went down, and he said, look, he said, the person, the head of the IT department is in a presentation right now. He said, we have to wait for him to come out before we can talk with him. He said, matter of fact, he invited us in if we want. And I went into the room, and there was IBM presenting to this IT manager, and they were asking questions, going back and forth. My brother says, you got something you want to do? I said, no, I want to do that. So that's how I first fell in love with sales, and then it just mushroomed and worked my way up as a salesman, sales manager, vice president of sales at large organizations, and finally went off on my own about 12 years ago. I'm a member of the National Speakers Association now, as Suzanne is. Aren't you? You remember? You're not? Okay.
No,
you
never
were.
got around to
I
it.
apologize. And I travel around the country, and we talk about sales, and that's what we're going to do tonight.
Excellent. Thank you. So, in your experience, how do you see B2B sales attitudes and behaviors changing today?
Well, keep in mind, some of you are too younger, some of you are not. The world of sales has changed. And that is that we used to be the traveling troubadours. We went around door to door, and people invited us in because that was the only way to get information. There was no internet. So all the sales practices and sales techniques that you are learning today, to this day, all are based upon the fact that someone invites you in. And they teach you how to say things. And we talk about sales funnels, which is you put a bunch of things at the top, you work like crazy, and you get 2 out. And you want 2 more, you put a bunch at the top, and you get 2 out. And we have any sales managers here? Okay, you know, adult sales managers. What does your sales manager tell you when you're not doing well in sales?
Make more calls.
Make more calls. I had 2 uncles. I grew up here, by the way, in Philadelphia. I had 2 uncles who lived in South Philadelphia who decided they wanted to go into business. So they drove to South Jersey and they bought watermelons for $1 a piece. And they drove right here, not too far from where we're staying right now, and they sold watermelons for $1 a piece. And this went on for about 3 months. And finally one of them said, Giuseppe, he said, we selling a lot of watermelons, but we're not making no money. And he says, I know what the problem is. We need a bigger truck. That's the way sales managers now view and have always viewed a problem. If something's not going right, make more calls. You're doing something wrong, make more calls. Get a bigger truck. So what's happening in B2B is people are no longer work that way. The internet locked all the doors. So you can't just walk in and say hi. And when you get there, the interest level, because of the internet, people know more than they do, or worse than that. What's worse than people knowing more than they did before? Anybody know?
They know it all.
They know it all? What else? They think they know. They think they know more than everybody else. And that's a scarier dude to deal with. Because now he knows nothing, but he thinks he knows something. At least the guy who knows something, you can deal with. So all of a sudden, our sales techniques are still based upon the old philosophies, and we say, hello, can you tell me a little bit about what you do here? Yeah, I'll tell you, there's the door, if you can even get in. They don't want to hear that anymore. So what has happened is the whole B2B attitude has changed because the buyer has changed. And we can't sell to the person the way we did before. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So in that way then, so kind of decouple is where sales is today. And I work with a lot of startups, but I think this is applicable to a lot of places. I think what we're seeing is that people aren't even asking the question, what does your business do? They're actually just launching directly into, this is what our product does.
Well,
Yeah.
and the converse to that question really is we hear from the buyers that please know our business before you get in and do your research like we've done ours. The challenge I think for sales reps, and you probably are seeing this, but the challenge I think is, well, I might know and understand your business from out here and what I read, but there's a whole different cultural thing that goes on that we need to understand as sales reps.
But you have to earn the right
That's
to get
right.
in the door to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, watch as time flows. We used to have what we call mass selling. What mass selling meant is that one size fits all. You went to the marketing department, they made up a brochure. One brochure, it works. Hi, can I leave my literature? Sure, here it is, instructions. Okay, one size fits all. And the reason why that worked, one size fits all, is because they didn't know anything. So when you don't know anything, one size does fit all. You don't know how a jacket's supposed to fit if you never wore a jacket before. So someone gives you one of the 3 sizes too big, you say, I guess this is what's supposed to be. Then we went to the area of mass, what they used to call mass customization. We made an assumption based upon an industry, and we put together marketing information to try to get this person excited. Well, that doesn't work anymore because everyone's different, and times are changing. And Suzanne does work with millennials, and God, they're different. So how the heck could you have a standard way of doing things? And I see sales strategies every day. This is the way it does it. We do this now. Okay? It depends. We're in an age now where we have to lean towards specialization. Specialization is, I don't need to know what people like Donna does. I have to know what Donna does and what Donna likes and what Donna doesn't like before I can have an intelligent conversation. So that becomes a challenge, and we can talk about that a little later about the tools that are out there to do that.
So the question really is, so how do sales reps bring value early on in the sales process so that they can get that credibility, so that they can earn the right?
We have a thing, the National Speakers Association calls it, when you speak to a group, you have to have what they call aha moments. That's when you're talking to somebody and they go, yeah, and you see them look up the slide. That's how I know I have an audience engaged, whether it's 500 or 1,500 people I speak to. Because I say something, and if they go, nah, I lost them. But if they go, yeah, then I know I've got them. So you have to, as salespeople, you have to create aha moments. And that means you have to say something or ask a question or have an interaction with somebody of something that creates that aha moment so that you earn the right as an expert. See, when you didn't know anything and someone knocked on your door as a sales rep, you were an expert. Oh, yeah, have them come in. Get some coffee for me. You want a donut? We got the sales expert here. Tell me what new products are out. Tell me what my competition is doing. Yeah, everyone was an expert years ago. Not anymore. You have to earn the right to do that. So, you know, there's some specifics, and we don't have a lot of time to go through all that, but we'll get into it a little bit as we go along. I'll show you some techniques of how you, early on in the sale, get the right. Because I have this phrase that the best salesperson in the world can't make a sale if the chair in front of them is empty. You got to get in first.
Yeah. So when companies are evaluating products, what's some of the business drivers that are inviting sales reps into the discussions? Like what's happening there that's making them choose whether or not what the salesperson says is going to be?
Well, for all of you challenger salespeople, you have any people who are challenger sales zealots? Okay. Then the challenger salespeople will tell you that it's no longer rapport and stuff like that. It's factual, what you can provide over someone, you know, first. And then if you disagree with the customer, or the customer speaks, then you challenge them on their line of thinking. Well, let's take a look at the way things were and the way things are now. When do you think a customer was more eager to be challenged? When he knew nothing, or when he knows something, or thinks he knows something?
When he thinks he knows something.
Yeah, when he didn't
He's
know
ready to challenge
anything, you can challenge me.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I say, you know what, I really like that game where you throw the thing in the ice and somebody sweeps in front of it, right? And you say, oh yeah, so it makes it go faster the harder he throws it. You say, no, that has nothing to do with it. It has to be, if he sweeps it, it makes the ice warmer and it goes further. I'd say, yeah, okay.
It's like, it's almost like people don't think they need to learn anymore. They
Right,
don't
so
feel like they need to learn.
so my opinion is that, and I don't offend anybody who's a big challenger salesman person.
Too late.
Too late.
No.
Listen, if it works for you, go ahead and do it. If it doesn't, if it works out there, then you make the sale. If it doesn't work, your competition does it. But I can tell you right now that when I'm dealing with a lot of salespeople and dealing with customers, first of all, it takes a very skilled salesperson to pull the challenger sales program. And the mass salespeople don't have that kind of skill to do it.
So then what is it that, again, like, what is it that a buyer does that, or what is it the sales rep does that gets the buyer to say, you know what, I need to invite them in a formal evaluation process?
They have to place themselves as an expert or be referred by someone who says, talk to this person or an expert.
Yeah, referral.
Right. And you have to be a good dent. You know what a dent is? When someone says dent, if you're a terrible dent, they're going to throw you out. So there's ways of doing it, we're talking about technology, but your job should not be to sell something. Your job is to turn yourself into a trusted advisor. The sale will come on its own. But someone has to do. That's why Challenger and I kind of go live. I'm not saying you buy a guy dozen donuts and take them out for golf and get them a liquor up and stuff like that. I'm not going to that extreme. But I'm saying that people will do business with you, and I won't take it right. People will do business with you if they trust you, if they like you, and you're believable. Okay? Yes,
I don't
Carol.
understand what you mean when you say a challenger salesperson.
Okay, there's a concept out there called challenger sales that's pretty popular, and the reason I believe it's so popular, it's a methodology of sales, is it plays to the check writers, to the people who write checks.
Okay.
It's just like CRM systems. The reason why CRM systems are what they are is because people who pay for them want certain things out of them. And challenger sales is also the same way. It's a methodology. We can talk to me later, I'll tell you all about it, Brent can tell you all about it. It's pretty clever stuff and some good stuff in it. But it's not
100%.
Not 100%.
None of the sales methodology.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I would say is that with Challenger, it's an interesting methodology that can apply when you actually have all the pieces in place around content and those insights. What we really want to get down to, I think, tonight is what are some of the actual skills that should be employed by reps so they can have that trusted advisor relationships. I think that's really such a gap.
How do you get in the door to start to build that?
How to get in the door and how to, I think, particularly in the high velocity SaaS sales, very quick type of model, all email driven, can you really cut through the noise? How do you do it?
Yeah, first of all, we're living in an age right now where you can't deal with absolutes. And one of the things that I see is people say, that's the silver bullet. And we have people going from sales strategy to sales strategy like little 4-year-olds play soccer.
I agree.
There's the ball, go here, no, try this, no, it's challenging, it's this, it's that.
Creeping up the field.
If we've learned anything that's happening today, is that there is no absolutes. It depends on your customer. Everybody familiar with personality, things like disc and color and stuff like that? Okay, well, if you're a highly technical person and you're talking to a highly technical person, guess what? We got a marriage. But if you're not technical and you're talking to a technical person, you try to convey him on other standpoints, you're going to lose.
I actually would say that you can have a marriage, but that doesn't always close the business. Because that technical person doesn't always know how to close.
That's
And
right.
I can give you an example, and they don't know how to manage through the sales process. Because they don't know how to ask the tough business questions that are important in advancing the sale. So, I mean, I see some companies that hire subject matter experts now as salespeople. I've seen it. And they think, well, we want them to have credibility. We want them, because they've been behind the eyeballs of the implementation of this product. They know exactly what it is, and they get in there and they fail. Because they're peers. And they don't know how to ask for the business. They don't know how to talk about the business drivers. They don't know how to talk about the business in terms of why they feel uncomfortable asking for money. That's at the bottom line, it's a cultural thing. So it is true that you do have the marriage. So why don't you give us an example of what you've seen where one technique that you have employed has opened the door for somebody where somebody else got shut out?
Okay. we get back to the same point, is that know your customer. And how do you get to know your customer? Well, there are tools out there right now. There's some really interesting software tools that can tell you all about that person you're walking in. In the past, you walked in and said, tell me about yourself. You didn't know the person's last name, where they went to school, or anything of that nature. There are tools now that before you make a sales call, before you even open your mouth about anything, you have to know about that person, what their likes, dislikes, how they want to be treated, and stuff like that. So now, how the heck do you figure that out? You follow them around at night? There's a company called Crystal Nose. It's not sniffing. It has to do with nose, K-N-O-W-E-S. And they will put someone's name into a profile. It goes out on the web and finds everything that's legally to find out about that person. Everything. What church you go to, how much you donated, any blog you wrote, any article you wrote, and then it gets that information. It doesn't give it to you. It gets the information and puts it through DISC and 2 other personality profile checking items. And then it comes back to you and says, oh, would you like to sell to Mark? Let me tell you about Mark. I'll give you all the areas where he went to school and things like that. Mark is a very interesting guy. He cares very much about his kids. Both his kids play soccer. He coaches one of the soccer teams. And he also is the kind of guy, based upon the stuff we've read, it's about 8% accurate. He doesn't like a lot of the fluff. He's very direct. So if you're going to send him an email, don't make it more than a sentence. All right, now I know a little bit more than I did before. Is it accurate? Somewhat. But now I can start going to try to get close to Mark because I know the things that he likes, and I can talk about the things he likes.
Or the things that he doesn't like.
Or the things he doesn't like. Right? I mean, I talk about the things I like. Talk to me about something I don't like. Anybody ever buy a car? You ever buy a car?
Just got one.
Okay, just got it. Okay. I give all the sales reps I talk about from time to time an assignment. And the assignment is go into a car dealership, because you got to know what it feels like to be a customer. Go into a car dealership, make eye contact with the salesperson, and then turn your body away and stand there and look at the car. And you will feel it. He's coming. I'm about to be pounced on. That's your job in life is to never have your customer feel that way. Never feel so uncomfortable that you're about to, that you're going to pounce on him. And how you do that is by taking an interest in what they care about, by listening to what they care about. I gave a presentation to Microsoft, and again, the presentation is young gal, very smart, millennial type gal, came over to do a little pad. She said, look, I heard your whole presentation about listening and learning, and could you give me some little techniques that I can use to make it look like when I'm talking to somebody that I really care? And I said, how about trying really caring?
That's awesome.
You see, we're missing the first step of being a salesperson. And the first step, and I know we're going to talk about this, or we'll talk about it now, is the first step of being a salesperson is you have to have a passion for this. If you don't have a passion for it, you're never going to do anything well. You know, have you ever heard the phrase, give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day, and teach him how to fish, you'll feed him for the rest of his life? Well, if you don't have a passion, what good is teaching anybody anything? My phrase is, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. The best thing to do is find a man who really likes fish. He'll take care of it on his own. And that's the point. The first stage is have a passion, because all the techniques in the world are going to fall deaf when somebody do it. I worked with a guy named Ed Barrow once, and I was a brand new sales manager at home, enthusiastic. So we're going to have a sales training session. Everybody, come on, 2 o'clock tonight. And he goes, Rich, another sales training session. This guy's been selling like 15 years. And I said, yeah, we got to sharpen our skills and we got to be better salespeople. And he goes, let me tell you something. I don't sell as well as they already know how to. Very key phrase, I never forgot that. Most people don't sell as well as they already know how to. You can come to sessions like this and learn little tidbits and things like that. But I'm going to show you something in a couple of minutes called the 180 rule, how you can, in fact, use the powers that are within you to get on track. Okay?
That's a great segue into the next question.
What's the next question?
What is the 180?
See how you set them up and then knock them down. You see how you get people to
No,
that?
so the question was like, what motivated you to really take, I mean, we can all say, oh, armchair quarterback and say, we need to do this, we need to do that, but you actually took action in something. What really drove you to like come up with the brand, selling it now, and the 180 rule? Like, what was really the big had come from that?
What drove me is the fact that like I was going around, I was vice president of a couple of big, large organizations, and working down the organizations, I saw that we were actually self-sabotaging ourselves. We were doing things that we wanted this, but we would do that. We were taking a page out of the history book. We were getting the bigger truck. We were doing things that don't work today. People don't, you read some of the blogs that are on my website. It's called, you're not selling to your father anymore. Your father is retired, and their father's retired. So why use the same techniques? If anything would have worked with someone's father and grandfather, there's a good chance it wasn't going to work today, because we're different people. And we're dealing with a lot of different generations right now that all think differently. And you can't
say the relationship building piece.
Relationship building piece was always there, except it was a lot easier when you were deemed an expert when you walked in the door. Now you have to prove you're an expert, okay, and care about what they really care about. Okay, so I turned around and answered your question. I said, something's wrong here. We're selling the same way we did. I went to a, God bless him, who's the guy? Sandler training session. This was 2 years ago. My customer said, we use Sandler, go to the Sandler training session. They actually showed a film, a 16mm film.
No.
That was converted to disc. You still see the flicking in the back. And hi, sell me this pencil. And I'm saying, what? Alan Funt, are you behind there? I thought I was on candid camera. So what motivated me is saying, you know what? If we don't start, if buyers have changed, the way they get their information has changed, and how they react to salespeople have changed. If we don't change the salespeople, if we don't start selling in the now, we're all lost. And you know what? Every one of you know. I'm going to put myself out of business and all the other sales strategists and trainers and speakers in the world by saying that, but I'll show you how. And we'll use the 180 rule. We do it now?
Do it.
Okay. The 180 rule, I was very curious of why people were negative about things. I love people. I don't think people are negative by nature. But yet people would say, you can't do that. That doesn't work out. You'll never do that. I worked for a company when the fiscal year ended in June. They did 60% of their business in May and June. And then the same day, our competitors' fiscal year ended in December, and they did 60% of their business in November and December. And if you went and talked to them, they said, oh, nobody's buying, I think it's summertime. Nobody's buying, I think it's Christmas time. What's going on? It's all up here. So I hired an agency right here in Philadelphia, and I said, see if anything was ever done about people's propensity towards the negative as opposed to the positive. And they came up with something that was started actually back in 1948, and that was called the negativity bias. And what a bunch of psychologists got together and said, people have a propensity towards the negative, not because they're negative people. It has to do with physiological attributes of the human body. There's two almond-shaped things on either side of our brain called the amygdala. And what they did is they measured the electron activity that went on in those brains in your brain when they showed them different stimuli. When they showed them a little puppy, it got fired, nice little piece of pizza, that's good, Ferrari. But when they showed them a mutilated body or a terrible traffic accident, it fired like crazy. And what they surmise from all this is that is built into us as human beings to keep us safe. I better not go around that corner, there might be a saber-toothed tiger there. There's no more saber-toothed tigers. But I better not step out in the street because a car might come and get me. So I said, okay, if we are predisposed towards this as human beings, how can I use this in sales? Because I've always been a believer. You can't teach somebody to do unnatural acts. Any golfers here? Yeah. Okay. Did you ever take your first golf lesson? Put your legs apart, shoulders down, head up, back straight, arms straight, ready to swing. You're like Herman Munster. You can't move the club at all. It's not natural. What are we all shooting for? The natural golf swing, the natural tennis swing, memory muscle to kick in. And that's when we get good at it. Well, how could you train somebody on new sales techniques when it's not natural for them? So I was always a proponent of doing the natural things. My mother said, when you have a cold, drink a lot of fluids. Anybody's mother ever say that? You have a cold, drink a lot of fluids. My father was a, say a kid, my father was a, somebody, realistically, how much fluids can you drink before you're full? My father was a little smarter. He said, you have a cold, eat saltine crackers. Until I was age 30, I thought there was something in a saltine cracker to cure the cold. It wasn't, it just made me thirsty, you drink more. So anything you can do naturally, anything you can do naturally, any sales process you can do naturally, anything you can do to reinforce it. Bryn's with a company right now, they're doing some super things called people links. And they just don't teach you, they reinforce it, make sure you stay doing it, because you're going to forget it. How many people here have been through a sales training class? How many people have been through more than 2 training classes? How many people have been through more than 5 training classes? Well, what are you doing here? You should know it all by now. Because it doesn't stick, because it's not natural. So let's get back to the 180 rule. The 180 rule says that if I think of things negatively, more readily than I think of things positively, and that's why people slow down on the other side of the road. It's a traffic accident. I knew that because their amygdala's kicking in. So how can I use this to help people sell? To help people know what to do, to help people know what tool to pick out. So they're not one of these kids running around like 4-year-olds playing soccer. And the answer came up was the 180 rule. And what the 180 rule is, you take what you're trying to accomplish and you turn it around 180 degrees, and you will naturally come up with a list of things you would do if you didn't want to accomplish that. Example, you go to a restaurant. What's a restaurant want? Mostly. They want people to come back. They want you to tell your friends. They want you to have a good experience, right? Okay. Silver Dollar Diner hired me and he said, we're having a hard time. People are slacking off, whatever. I said, okay, let's use the 180 rule. What would you do if you didn't want people to come back? You wouldn't people say, don't go to that place again, and you tell your friends, don't ever go there. What would you do? Well, let's see. Maybe when someone walked in, there'd be 2 people ignoring you and playing on their phone. That might do it. I bet when you finally did get up to the Mater D station, they're playing a game with a dirty rag and a crayon trying to figure out where they can place you to even out the tips. That might do it. You know what? They're doing it. I bumped in a manager, a sales, CEO of a company. I was in Ohio giving a speech. I always call my customers when I'm in. He called me, he said, Rich, you got to come. You got time before your plane. Come and talk to me. I got a problem. I'm losing all my best salespeople. And I said, well, why is that a problem? I am Colombo. Why is that a problem? He said, you can't lose your best salespeople. You got to retrain them all over again. They lose the context with the customers. It's horrible. I'm losing all my best salespeople. I said, get your people in here. He brought in the controller, the HR person, and legal counsel. I explained the 180 rule to them. I said, okay, what would you do if you wanted to lose your best salespeople? They said, well, let's see, we wouldn't have career paths. Okay, we changed our territory within 6 months. Yeah, we capped the comp plan. Yeah. I look over at Bob, and he has his hands on his face. That's what's the matter, Bob. He says, we're doing every one of those things. You see, the 180 rule brings to clarity what you're doing. I'm a thought leadership expert for Frost & Sullivan. They start every marketing meeting saying, we're going to have a seminar, a C-level seminar in 2 months. Okay? What would we do if we wanted it to fail? And phew, that amygdala kicks in, people love it. They can fold boards. They ask them, what do we do to make it good? I say, I don't know, maybe we'll give out chattering teeth, or we'll do that. Say, what would you do if you didn't want to fail? And you say, oh, we would wait till the last minute to call the printer. We wouldn't check up. When someone called up and said they were going to come, we wouldn't follow them up and say, thank you very much, we're looking forward to you being here. And sure enough, it becomes clarity. So let's use it right now today. And believe you, I just turned a 45-minute presentation into probably 8 minutes. So what would you do right now? What do you want from your customer? You want him to consider you to be a trusted advisor, right? You want him to have respect for what you know. Okay, amygdala time. What would you do prior to a sales call if you didn't want him to feel that way or her to feel that way? Maybe I wouldn't find out about it. Maybe I wouldn't find out the things that are interesting. I wouldn't find out the things that he got burned or she got burned with before by some other bad carrier. But we do that every day. We go out and make sales because our sales manager says, go make more calls. Let's see, what else? I want him to realize that I'm really an expert in my field. What will we do if we wanted to think that I didn't know what I was talking about, what would we do? We'd go in there and say, oh, tell me a little bit of what you mean about fittings with a ground joint on it. What's that mean? You get my point? So every time you do something, and by the way, it works in your personal life. I came home once with a speaking engagement. My wife said, don't forget we got that fundraiser tonight. And I said, okay, hon. And she had already showered and she was getting dressed. And I jumped in the shower real quick and I started getting dressed and I put on my tuxedo because I thought it was a formal affair. And she comes out dressed very nicely. You know what cabbie clothes are?
Yeah.
Cabbie's great stuff. She comes out dressed in cabbie clothes, look really good. And I'm like frazzled. I said, you go like that. And she said, okay, Mr. 180 Rule, what would you have said to me? And how would you have said it? How would you make me feel if you wanted to make me feel bad about what I was wearing? We do this every day. We self-sabotage ourselves. So what I'm saying right now is, and I can hold endless training classes with little techniques, and we can do all that, and you'll see them soon in the people links section of the profile. But I got to tell you, it starts off with passion, and it starts off with give yourself the 180 rule test. Before you do anything or don't do anything, say, what would I do if I wanted to accomplish the opposite? I want this person to really buy my product and read my proposal. What would I do if I didn't want them to read it? I think I'll email it. Get it? We do it every single day. And I can tell you right now that whether you work for yourself or whether you have a manager, or every day they are doing things that are 180 degrees from what they really want, and they don't even realize it. Make any sense?
A lot of them.
Okay. That was the fastest I ever did that.
That's because that saber-toothed tiger is right around the corner.
That's right. I don't want Don to beat me up. All right. I haven't heard from you. What is the most? Donnie asked a very good question. What is the most pressing thing to you right now about selling and the selling process? Oh, by the way, before I forget, while you're thinking about that, if you took one of those cards, my email address is on there. It's richlucia.com. You go to my website, read some of my silly blogs. Bryn isn't going to like the one about LinkedIn or linked out, but that's okay.
I saw that.
We have a love-to-hate relationship. But if you send me an email and say, I like what you said, or I didn't like what you said, because I want to hear your feedback. You say, you know what, you're full of soup. I'll send you a book anyway. Okay? I'll send you an electronic version of the 180 Rule for Business Development. And that 180 Rule, by the way, is now a series. If you go to 180ruleseries.com, there are 11 other consultants that have adopted the 180 Rule for their expertise. There's the 180 Rule for negotiating, there's the 180 Rule for presentations, there's the 180 Rule for leadership. So this thing is catching on, this whole 180 Rule, because it's so simple. It's so simple to do it. It doesn't take a lot of graphs and charts to map it out. Because something else too that nobody ever talked about, and that is salespeople. Are we detail-oriented by nature?
I would argue that the best salespeople are highly organized.
Now, where's my recruiter? There's a guy signed up here who was a recruiter, sales recruiter. He didn't show up.
Help people hire.
You help people hire? Okay. I believe that the salesperson of today and tomorrow is a different salesperson than he was before, or she was before. They have to be a little bit more of a craftsman because they're no longer a stand-up and throw-up person. They're no longer, what do we do in sales training when somebody joins a company? Hi, go learn this presentation. And when you can say it over and over again until you get it right. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I live in a shoe. I've got my dog tag. He's got one too. And that's what we were teaching people how to do. The new sales reps now have to be taught of, what am I saying to someone? Let me think about what I'm saying to someone. Let me find out what they're all about. Let me really care and tailor it. So when everyone's looking for the ultimate sales technique, whether it's Challenger, whether it's Spin, whether it's Miller Hyman, I've been through all of them. You know what the answer is? It depends. It depends on who you're talking to. There's no one size fits all. I see statistics coming out from people like me saying, by the way, the average person right now is 75% through the order cycle before they even talk to a sales rep. It depends. What are you selling? If you're selling microphones like this, They're 100% through the order cycle before, and they don't even talk to a salesperson. If you're selling what Robbie's selling, Oracle implementation, coding, and God knows what of it, then you know what? You're at the other end because you're now, it's too confusing for them. So don't generalize. It depends. You've got to find out where somebody is. Right now, the Eagles are probably getting killed. But I guarantee you that if they sent somebody on the field, the first question he asked, if he wasn't paying attention, where are we? If you're on the 1-yard line, don't throw a bomb. And salespeople, we just teach people, hey, you want to sell? What do I do? Do I throw a pass or do I block? Well, I think we should block. No, I think we should pass. I think we should. And they go back and forth and they argue different strategies.
It's all very rote. And
It's
people
all-
think it's like a playbook.
Exactly. And you have to do it that way. So I want to get back to the question because I went off a tangent because I do that because actually because I'm holding a microphone.
Because you're holding a microphone. So
You're lucky.
Let's hear
I want to hear from somebody else. I want to hear what is bothering you. What's on your mind?
what are your saber-toothed tigers of sales keeping you?
Well, I'll start because I'm new to my space. I work over at Vonage Business and 15th and Market. We do cloud sales and unified communications, and a lot of our business is predicated on getting that first appointment, we call it, getting past building that rapport and knowing, because you walk in, I know you sell phones, I'm good on phones, but it's a lot more than phones, and actually it's a lot more lucrative for me to talk about something other than phone. So just getting over that hurdle of my day begins with make a bunch of calls and then leave out by 10:30, knock on doors, come back, and put those in the sales force. So just building that rapport in a way where I have a day that's not really structured for nurturing.
Okay, do you have any existing customers?
Or
None?
I started June 27th.
Does your company have any
Oh
customers?
yeah.
Have you met them yet?
No, I asked for a list. I couldn't get it.
All right, let me ask you a question. What would you do right now if you owned a company, as Robbie does, or you're a sales rep, and you start with the company and he says, one rule we have, you are not allowed to talk to any of our customers. What would you do? What would you do? What would you do if I had a brand new sales rep and I didn't want him to know why people buy and what they like about my product? I would not let him talk to my existing customers.
Right.
What would I do if I didn't want to make sure that my brand new sales rep didn't try to get references from my existing customers? What would I do? I would not let him. I'd let, get on the phone, just call new people. We want new people. We want new people. Let me tell you something. There's gold in your install base. The other company I partner with is called Selling the Zebras. They tell people that you have to look for your zebras. Don't even bother selling to somebody that isn't predisposed to buy. And how do you do that? They come in with a software program. The first place they go to is your install base, the customer's install base. And they do a complete profile on what that person looks like. And they put it in the software program. And then here comes, Rich Lucia. Hi, I'm a new sales rep. Here, I'm going to put in Joey Bag of Donuts. Joey Bag of Donuts. And the system comes back and says, what size shoe does Joey wear? And I say, I don't know. I said, go back and find out. And I say, 9.5D. And they say, well, okay, continue on a little bit, but I just want to tell you something. Our ideal profile says 10.5. My examples are crazy.
So let me add on to what he's saying in a really tangible way maybe for you. I mean, it sounds like to me, and I don't know about Mark and Rich, but it sounds like to me that's not a part of your corporate culture of them saying, we want you to spend your time talking to previous customers. So, you know what, you might have to, the benefit and what we know in sales is that the best information that is coming from clients is because it's based on their success. So you want to deconstruct that and find that out so that you can revision that to your new customers.
Maybe something very, very specific. Do you have any sort of customer success stories?
Yes, we do. We have case studies that we generally, but again, it depends. We have a couple, but they don't really tie in to the industries we're focusing on. And that training, when marketing actually came in and presented, they were working on ways to get more case studies in the verticals to do the most business.
I think what we're trying to say though is you're going to have to find a way to be creative in getting that information.
You just gave me an idea though, just saying that. Just because they send out an email blast when people sell, so I can just find that customer.
Use the 180 rule and find out
that makes sense.
Yeah.
You'll find that you're on the wrong track, that they're on the wrong track. Well, I'll come in and explain the 180 rule to them. But what would they do if a policeman knocked on your door and said you weren't allowed to talk to them? You'd go crazy. You go absolutely crazy, yet we don't do it every day. We self-sabotage ourselves. You know who our biggest competitor is? Not the guy out there, it's ourselves. It's what we do to ourselves. So I would try to get involved, and you know what, there's something else too. If I turn around and say, Mark, I'm Rich Lucia, and I'm a really good speaker, and would you hire me to speak at your thing? Because I'm a really good speaker, and let me tell you why I'm a better speaker than the other people, and these are my credentials, and blah, blah, blah. I'm much better off than saying, Mark, do you know Donna? Let me tell you about Donna. Donna and I met once, and she was a little apprehensive. She was a little apprehensive. She didn't know me. He doesn't know me. Well, she took a chance, and she made me speak at something, and you know what she found out? I'm damn good. Go talk to her. Right? Now, there's names for it, feel found, and I won't get into all that basic stuff like that. But what am I doing? If I say I'm good, on the sales scale, it goes, boo. If she says I'm good, it goes, boo. And that's what you want. You want people to say it. And if I was, what do you say when you're on the phone? Hi, I'm so-and-so. I sell phones, but I really sell cloud business. No, you pick the phone up and say, hey, do you know Comcast? Our company was in there and we saved them blah, 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 blah. Okay, I would like to talk to you about that. Everybody wants to hear about somebody else's stuff. And that's what they used to invite us in for, but you can't invite you anymore. So you got to work your way. Still use your phones because your boss will get mad. Get a bigger truck, knock yourself out. And you will. You won't totally fail. People say cold calling's dead. No, it's not dead. Right?
It's just the stuff you say on those calls.
It's saying on a call, you kill yourself. You know, sales is a tool belt. And they all want the ultimate tool. There's no ultimate tool. You have to pick the right tool for the right situation. And how are you going to know the right situation? You got to know what you're doing. Someone knocked on my door and says, I understand you're building an addition. Yeah, I got a saber saw. Yeah, I know you're going to use a saber saw to build my addition, but what's that tell me? You get my point?
Right, yeah.
All right, so we heard from...
Can I add to that?
Please!
So one of the things, I think Rich really hit the nail on the head with know your customer. Figure out who that persona, your buyer is. And I teach LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn is a great way for you to go into all of your network and identify who in your network currently knows the people you're looking to get in front of. So your clients are the best to do this, but your network is next, right? So if we connect on LinkedIn and I'm connected to 7 people that you want to connect with, and now we have a rapport because we met each other, we had a conversation, and you call me up and say, hey, Bryn, great meeting you at the Rich Lucia thing, right, the enterprise meetup thing. I noticed you're connected to 7 people on LinkedIn. Can we have a little conversation about them? These are people I'm trying to get in front of. And after we talk about 7, 2 or 3 of them I know well enough and make an introduction for you. And now, once those introductions are made, they're expecting your phone call. And it's a different, you're still reaching out, you still have to pick up the phone. You have to have those conversations. I just think they work a little bit better when they come through either an introduction or you provided them value through insights and content. Like, they don't even know you do cloud, right? And so insights and content and case studies, if they're getting that and they're reading that before your conversation, that's much more relevant to them.
Now, what just happened, right? Oh shit, that's a lot of work. And sales is a lot of work. And that's what you find it, because all this new stuff that we're doing requires time.
But it requires the same time you were putting in before. If you have a passion, you'll want to do that.
Yes.
You have a passion to say, I'm going to find out about that person.
Yeah.
I really do. If you're doing, now I got to do this, now I got to do that. Too much of the CRM packages right now get people and say, fill this out, fill that, fill out that. Because the check raters said, forget about whether the person has kids playing soccer. Take that out of there. Give me a bar chart to show what the probability of close is, because that's what they care about. So people are, yeah, we need management systems to find out what people are doing. I'm not disagreeing with that. But if it doesn't help you sell, what good is it? And there's too many check writers out there that are saying, we use CRM, so I can put together a database in case
Yeah, but
somebody leaves.
CRM is sales enablement. Sales and what you're talking about is sales effectiveness.
Exactly.
They're two separate things.
Now, there's still CRM packages like Microsoft Dynamics, and selling the Zebra is one that has business intelligence in there. That will go out on the web and find out some information about that. So as soon as I put the prospect in, I get that information. It shows up, it goes to LinkedIn, it attention to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to give somebody else a chance to say what's bothering them. By the way, we could go on all night and all day because guess what? If you haven't noticed, I've got a passion for this stuff. He's got a passion for this. She's got a passion for this. And you know what? The people who do well have a passion. You develop a passion for what you're doing. You don't have to be trained. You know about it on the inside, and you'll find it. Use the 180 rule, and it'll pick it right up. I want to find somebody who likes fish. I got a cousin who hates fish. I could teach him to fish all day long. He's going to starve. He doesn't like fish. Get it?
It's a good point that you make. I mean, it's the people at Harm's Room, all of you, the folks that go to all of our little sessions in other cities. I think that is one huge indicator to me of a big difference. People that come to events like this, they have a passion, they want to learn, they want to extend themselves, and that's really the first step of a lifelong journey of becoming a sales professional and having that and demonstrating that passion through your work.
I see a lot of salespeople, and the common denominator when you're hiring them, people say, "Oh, did you play sports? Yeah, well, you know how to, compete, right?" I love that question. No, give me somebody who has a passion. I don't care what it is. I had a guy sit in front of me. He says, "You have any things you like?" He says, "I love lab quilting." I said, "Really? Tell me about it." "Oh, lab quilting is so great. You get to mix the colors." I hired him. Why? Because I need a lab quilter? No, I need somebody who can feel enthusiasm for something. If you never felt that feeling inside of you, you're never going to be good at anything, let alone sales. And that's the kind of person you want to hire. Number one, passion. And you say, well, hire him for his product knowledge. You kidding? By the time you fill out the paperwork, the world's going to change. I know guys who were hired because they were really good at DOS programming. Where are they now? Yeah, that's right.
Plus.
No, they said, I better learn Fortran. That's the best thing to do.
I heard
I know, yeah, sure you did.
Oh, my.
Okay. I hope, I know time is our biggest, Vince Lombardi said he could win every game if you just let him play long enough. Okay? And it's the same thing with the sales sessions here. We can really cover a lot of stuff if we just had enough time, but we don't. I welcome you. You have my number. Call me. If I'm not busy or traveling or speaking, I'll talk with you. I love this stuff, and it works when it's done right. Okay? And what's done right is what's right for you. You can't pick up my words and use my words because it's not you. Do it on your own terms. Try this 180 rule out. Try it with your kids. Try it with anything you do. Think about what you're doing right now. What would I do if I wanted to not do that? And it'll give you your answers.
So here's a good question for you.
Yes.
So we can be curious. Everybody's curious. And we are here, we read and we do things and we're reading all this stuff and trying to, wow, we're going to try different things. We're going to change behaviors. That's what this is about. It's about changing behaviors is basically what we're talking about. So how do individuals go in to their corporations and evangelize these concepts so that they're not going in all puffed up and ready to embrace, and then they go into their environment and they get squashed again because their environment is, and this is where the saboteur comes in, really big. Oh shit. I gotta be a willing
I have some interesting thoughts on that because we actually talked a little bit about this on Tuesday night session when I was up in Boston with John Barrows, and he mentioned also the thing about passion. Don't ask about what you've done in the past. Ask people you're going to hire. Ask what they're passionate about. But the other thing we talked about was someone mentioned I have that typical old school manager who just says you got to come in and do your 200 dials a day. And yeah, it was like, the number I was looking at, like, are you sure? It's like, yeah, that's what our metric is. And he said, I want to try these other things. I just feel like I don't have the power to. And
And the
I,
support,
and
the
I,
cultural support.
and I said to him, you're not going to change your manager's mind. Let's understand that right now. But what could change people's minds is if you come back with results. And so this is where some of the hard work comes in.
Yes.
It's doing some things beforehand. So we actually talked about a methodology about getting some information and using that, some of these social selling techniques to start messaging people with relevant content. That's actually contextual, not just blasting a white paper or blasting like a bunch of news, but actually adding some value on top of it so it's relevant to the person you're trying to reach out to. And then measure your results. And then see what happens after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Are you getting introductions? Are you getting referrals? Are you actually getting very high quality meetings that are resulting into actual deals or converting into deals that eventually convert to revenue? And if you actually backtrack from that and you start to look at your results at the end of the month, you can go to your manager. And if your manager's not listening, to your manager's manager, someone eventually will look at that and say, they can't refute the data.
That's right. And we have to be the courageous leaders and have our own leadership stake. And that's where it's very hard to have these, we can listen to all these great concepts and we can try to execute them. But what you have to keep in mind is when you get back in your workplace, holding that stake for yourself is going to be very important for your professional growth, because you're not always going to be in an environment that's going to support that. Some companies, we're lucky. Some people are lucky. They're in companies that are open to it. They just don't know how to change. And then there's other companies that are stuck in this command and control environment. It might not be for everybody. It might not be for you. But these are the things that what he's teaching us is that if you do these on your own and try to have the heart of a champion, you will be able to flourish in your environment, or at least change the delta 5, 10, 15%.
Rich, what have you seen? Because I mean, you obviously work with a lot of folks.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it almost sounds. Remember, I get paid to go around the companies and explain this to the sales organization and the management. And the management hires me afterwards to come in and say, okay, fine, I buy what you're saying. Get me in the now. What are some selling in the now techniques? And I can change their mind that way, top down. But let me ask you a question. Why do you have to get them involved? You're out there on your own, making phone calls or whatever. You could do the LinkedIn thing at night, or on your lunch break, or whatever, or wherever you have to. No one says, look, you're good. One of the keys of good people, they are finding out people who are very, very, they're not rebels, they're conformists to a certain degree. You don't have to follow the rules. Do what they say, because they're paying your paycheck. You always do what they say. But that doesn't take 100% of your time. And like Mark says, if you then want to go in with the results and say, look, I've done it this way. But I'll tell you what, you start being successful, they'll come to you and say, how'd you do that?
That's true.
You know,
I've been working on it just on my own, just haven't been reading it and sending out an email and LinkedIn, just do it.
Don't say anything.
Right.
Don't say anything, because you want to spend your time selling inside or outside. You know, the old Westerns, they used to have a thing where they made the cowhands check their guns at the door. And the reason they did that, because if they got in a fight, they didn't want to shoot up the bar. Right?
We should do that now.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, there's no need to bring your gun into the bar. Leave it home. And take your shots at what you would do to be successful back then. And that's what's going to make you successful. Okay? It's tough, because you've got most of the sales management and the owners of companies are preaching down the only thing they know. Harder, faster, more, harder, more calls, more things. You'll finally get somebody. And you will. You absolutely will. You will get some people to talk to. But that's like standing on the edge of the woods, taking a shot and hoping something runs into it. That's not hunting. And that's what they have you doing. Okay? Anybody else have any other things that's driving them crazy? Please, try this 180 rule. Tom, you got something?
Yeah, just breaking habits. I've had, the last week, I had like 3 customers tell me yeah, we love what you have. It's the best product by far. We love it. But really, it's just habit. Like, we're just buying stuff out of habit. And you're going to have to deal with, like, all of our purchasing departments breaking their habits. And I was like, really? That's really why you see that this makes you more money. This is better. It's safer. And really, your objection is just habit. Like, that's what we're up against. He goes, yeah.
Culture shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, are you serious?
We're getting deep into techniques, but that's where you turn around and say, you know what? Do you know Frank Feinberg? I'll say, no, I don't know Frank Feinberg. Frank Feinberg, I swear, I'm sitting here looking at you, and it's like his voice is coming out of your mouth. It's unbelievable. He said the same thing you said. Unbelievable. You sure you don't know Frank Feinberg? No, I don't know Frank Feinberg. Well, let me tell you what happened to Frank Feinberg. He thought the same way you did, and then all of a sudden he started implementing some of the things I'm saying, and as soon as he started making the company more money, guess what Frank Feinberg got?
Is this person that you're dealing with, like a technical board?
It was actually a few, so it depends on what I'm dealing with. One was a branch manager, one was the owner of the company, and the other one was an actual purchasing guy. And yeah, I'm still, basically what I've done then is just like, all right, do I have free reign basically to just nag the hell out of you?
No, but do the 180 with them. What would you do if you wanted to spend more money on your solution? You'd keep your habit. I mean,
That's right.
Right?
I think a part of what's happening here is not only the 180 rule thing. I think this is a matter of understanding how to vision sell to the buyer and really understanding how to, change their vision on how they're currently doing their business.
Right.
And that's where the challenger sale, I think, philosophy really comes in. I'm
No,
just
it
using
totally
that
is.
word.
It's like you gotta almost tell them, like, are you serious? Like, you gotta almost be in the
Well, I
face
don't
of
know if
them.
"Are you serious" is going to work.
Well,
But
I'm sure not gonna say "Are you serious?"
I mean
I always say,
specific.
so is your mother.
Yeah.
But I think that's your opportunity to really sit with yourself around what are the business drivers. Know yourself, their business, so that you can make a strategic business case on why they would want to change. So I was selling medical supplies, and I really didn't know what I was doing. And the guy that was my manager, he owned the company actually, he said to me, I want you to go in there, and I want you to ask him, you're a piece of surgical equipment. What happens to me from the time I leave the operating room till the time I go through the operating room, come back out, and come back into the surgical room? So they start telling me all these processes. So I'm learning all the inefficiencies that are in the process, and I go back and I tell the guy. And he said, well, here's a strategy we're going to go in with. So you have to know what your thing where is doing different that matters to them. And that takes
Donna makes a good point.
that takes time. That takes
a question to the room.
time.
Question to the room. You've dealt with a lot of customers in your life, right? Few. Did everything they said, was it true?
all the buyers are liars.
Yeah, exactly. So, you go off to the races. Matter of fact, statistically, I don't know where this study comes from. It comes from somewhere. When you ask somebody what their objection is, and they give you an objection, you ask them, was there anything else? You don't answer that objection. You say, is there anything else? And they say, yeah, blah, blah. And you say, was there anything else? And they say, blah, blah. And you say anything else? They say, no, that's about it. Generally, there's a higher probability that the third one is the real objection, not the first one or the second one. But you can't go off, when they say, well, it's a matter of habit. Really? Is there anything else? That's what I would have said first. Is there anything else?
Well, I did because you taught me that. and like at the end of the meeting, I was like, is it really, it's strictly habit. Like, that's really it.
Yeah.
Because I
Some
swear
people
to
are
God,
like-
that is what it is.
The one I'm concerned about is the owner. The owner, right
The
there,
owner
I was
says
like,
that.
forget it.
Right.
He's
He just clearly
making the
doesn't get it.
decisions. He's writing the paycheck. Why beat your head against the wall?
Yeah,
I'm not
there's-
change.
there's-
I move on from him.
Someone
Right.
told me
Numbers
once.
need to go on to somebody else.
Absolutely.
Owner says no, I'm like, okay.
Great
My
point.
problem with not understanding is I don't want to take all the time here.
That's
but
good.
No,
It's
you're
about learning.
Our whole way we go to market is protection. So we do more
What do you
with
sell?
less. It doesn't. It's very random.
Well, don't say what is it?
Hose fitting.
Fittings for industrial hose, which is
Oh, okay.
very
Really
cool.
random, yeah.
Very rare. But we're a small company, and our competition sells everybody. So the way that we help people is have a better product at a very similar price. No, same price, same price.
It's
we
tough.
do
It's tough
more
to
with
show.
them, and that's how they get
I
to
work
their
with that
end
company.
users.
It's tough to show value added, but it can
Right,
be done
because you're going
properly.
with the giant
So
or
I
the small guy.
can't just say
everybody's
screw him and go to somebody else.
Your point,
Yeah.
no, your point,
Got it,
your
got it,
point is
got it.
very well taken. Someone told me a long time ago, sometimes the best tool you have in your bag is called next door.
Yeah.
Go next door. You know, do you know who your biggest competition is? Just like it is tonight, the clock. The clock. There's only so much time. So you decide how you want to spend your time.
Right.
180 rule. What would I do if I wanted to spend a lot of time that probably wouldn't pay out? Sawing the Zebras says, no more funnel, it's a cylinder. Don't even talk to anybody as predisposed to buy. Why would you? Now, after you finish all the people in the world that are predisposed to buy your product, then go ahead and give a presentation to a bag lady. But I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it until I covered everybody who really wanted to buy.
You gotta know when to move on.
And I'm interested in this too. So then, how are you identifying people that are predisposed to buy? How are you finding that?
Okay.
Because I'm still selling in a funnel, but lots of people up here and getting two down here.
Right. And then when you want another two, what do? You put a lot of money into it.
Yeah, I mean it works, and
Yeah, if you want two,
but right.
I
But
mean,
it
the order
has-
cycle's long and it's very expensive, and it's a lot of lunches, and it's a lot of meetings, and it's a lot of aggravation, and this is like dating.
So how do you get the right date? How are you?
Well, you
filling-
start off by walking into the bar and say, not him, clearly not him, and not him.
Forget about it.
I have
Alright.
a set of criteria that I ask.
You set the criteria that you're asking for.
And
But,
I need to know, I'm getting this, I'm giving this, and if I know and I ask, if we do this, and I've created this value proposition for you, if this is really what you're looking for, do we have an agreement to move on to X, Y, and Z phase? So I kind of create a memo, yes, and things will stall.
I'm still tentative.
I mean, it's just.
If
You're trying to identify the sign to make,
Yeah.
it's mitigating risk. It's never all going to be perfect. You're mitigating risk
I just
by
love the
having.
idea of a cylinder. You put them in, they close. You put them in,
Well,
they close.
you have to make sure that they get the money and they're predisposed to buy. Now, go back to your customer example. Your customers of your company right now that buy, that make decisions, they have an opinion of your company. It's probably pretty high. All right? Where do these people go? They go at night. Do they climb into the sewer system of Philadelphia and hide? No. They go to meetings like this. They go to GP they're part of groups. They're part of. Why aren't you at those meetings? People flock together. Bryn's doing a social media. By all means, that's the way to find out who knows somebody.
But
who knows somebody.
she's all at these meetings all the time.
Right. Well, because Bryn knows everybody under the sun. Matter of fact, I use Bryn now. If I bump into somebody and says, "This person real," and I call Bryn. She'll say, maybe. So what I'm saying is,
That's a good software.
what's that?
Brand
Bryn knows.
Is that Crystal knows?
Bryn
Oh
knows.
my God.
Well, you know what?
Give me a song.
You've got to network. Network with people who are going. What would you do if you didn't want to further your career? Who would you hang out with?
People in the corner bar.
People in the corner bar. Other people. I explained in one of my blogs that sometimes people who hang out with the wrong people, it's like Helen Keller explaining a sunrise to Stevie Wonder. How does that happen? People get around and they ask, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I have to admit, there's a certain portion of LinkedIn you have to be careful, and Brent will tell you how to be careful with it. There are some people who join LinkedIn because they're just trying to sell something to your customers and stuff like that, as opposed to really what it was designed for, and has to have true relationships with people and share ideas. But you'll find that most people are pretty nice. You get to know them. Now, if you meet them one time, people say, "I have 2,000 connections." Well, do the math. Come on, if you said hello to them, 3 of them a day, you wouldn't get through until 4 years. That doesn't make any sense. You're better off with 6 or 7 champions that really, you love them and they love you. And that's the other thing that I would suggest for you to do, or anybody else that's in this position, find somebody who sells to the same people you sell to. Whether
I
you
gave,
sell,
I gave Rich a lead.
oh yeah, I give you a lead.
But I did, I mean, I knew him, I trusted him, and I was like, I don't want to, this is not my thing, but I know somebody that, you know, and he called me up, and he goes, you out of your mind.
This
I was
guy,
like, well, I did think of you, and I didn't.
this guy, if I was a proponent of the funnel, wouldn't even go into my funnel. This guy was so out of left field, that's a whole other story. But, you know, there's somebody who sells, and we're not getting into details, the person you're calling on the phone, they are the, I hope they're not the purchasing agent.
You know what?
Person, no, okay. Whoever they are, whatever title.
IT?
Yeah, IT.
IT, okay.
CEO.
Who else sells to the IT guy? Who else sells to him? Find out.
Right.
Then go meet that guy. Go on
Computer
LinkedIn.
servers.
Go on LinkedIn and find out. Ask him, who's your sales rep? My sales rep is Johnny Smash. Oh, really? Johnny Smash sells you computers from Dell? Yeah, okay. Get on LinkedIn and say, Johnny, you and I got a common goal here. We're both trying to sell to Sandy so-and-so. Ah, Sandy's a great guy. Bring him a dozen good always, and can always help. He'll be fine. That's another way to get. You have to get.
Food
The doors
sales.
are locked, my friend. You've got to find a way to get in there through social media, through networking, through any way you can. People who sell similar products that you do, and that's the way to get in. And once you get in there, then you do your stuff. Then you're on your own. Okay? What else keeps you up at night? Yes?
Getting from 0 to 1.
Getting from 0 to 1 with what?
Startup.
Your startup?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any customers at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any friends?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any friends that are, that know what you do? What do you do, by the way?
I'm going to call it mobile learning.
Mobile learning?
Yeah.
Okay. And who's your target audience?
I believe it would be corporate universities.
You believe it would be corporate university, and why would they need your product?
Because they're...
By the way, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm helping you identify what you're doing.
No, I understand what you're asking. So, I mean, you know, sometimes I'm in the... and I'm not doing that right now.
That's okay. That's all I did.
No, I understand. All right. They're onboarding. They're the people putting the training and development together for new employees. They're putting the training and development for existing employees to learn their jobs, or to learn their new job, or to make them, give them the capacity to rotate throughout the company because they need to learn very specific lingo and language.
Okay.
So they're doing all the training and development work. And I've got a service that can take all of their existing training and make it accessible on a mobile phone.
Does it have modules to it?
No, it's more like glossaries on steroids.
Okay.
Let me make suggestions, because they're actually running pretty long. So maybe we could wrap it up and we'll take your question, we'll answer that afterwards.
Yeah, I'll hang around as long as you want to.
Okay.
Real quick answer is you go to somebody who has a need for the product and you tell them that you are representing, what's the name of your company?
Executive Speak Dictionary.
Oh, I know. Yes, I've heard it. Yeah, we've met.
On the phone.
Yes.
Okay.
Executive Speak Dictionary, and we have a new module that's coming out, and we'd like for you to beta test it. There'll be no charge to you, and you'll get these kind of benefits out of it.
You want to, we talked to you
It's
about
like you
that.
did this.
Oh, you already did it?
But it's good, I'm glad that I had.
I know, we're all in agreement. So
But we can get
you've
Okay.
got to have a
Listen,
beta test.
Again,
You
time
got
is our
it.
enemy,
Yeah.
so I'll hang around as long as you want.
It's
And Mark,
making like where you have to like 30. It's not as long as you want.
what?
You get right out of here.
Okay.
Well, then we'll go next door to the sofa tower.
No, no,
Oh,
sofa
that's
drinks.
So, our goal is that you get value.
This is awesome.
So I just want to ask real quick, what was one thing that you learned tonight that you can incorporate in your business tomorrow? Short answer. Ready? Go.
The 180 rule.
I think cylinder, not pump.
Definitely one.
I already did
One
that.
end is good.
I'll stick with 180.
180.
Talking to the other people that are selling to customers.
Awesome.
Strategic line, that's good.
Start with your own plans.
Good.
What if you didn't want to keep your set of parents?
Awesome. Thank you so much, folks.
That's it.